everyone, it's Ashley, and today I am bringing you my review of Morning Glories by Nick Spencer and Joe Eisma. I think it's Eisma. Oh, I hope that's right. Morning Glories follows 6 main characters, at least the first issue, follows 6 main characters who are all going to this very prestigious private school. They come from very, very different parts of the world, and they all think they're going there due to their intelligence and their like IQ scores, etc., etc. But the school, which is Morning Glory Academy, is nothing like they thought it would be. Once all 6 kids get to Morning Glory Academy, not only do they realize that the school is nothing like what they thought it would be, they realize that they are trapped and they feel pretty alone, and all they really have is one another, but all of them are very troubled and very lost, and they don't necessarily lend themselves well to making new friends with random people. So it kind of wreaks hilarious havoc, but also ridiculous tragedy. This is one of those fun books that I can't really explain much to you without giving everything away, although there isn't a lot to give away. So I'm just kind of going to explain to you the feel of the graphic novel and kind of like what I really like about it without spoiling anything for you, because I am so obsessed with this series that I want every single one of you to try reading it. I have been ridiculously obsessed with the series. I can start by letting you know that as wonderful as this cover looks, it looks kind of preppy and cool and childish even. I feel like that's a bad term to use. But you don't expect this to be a freaking thriller. This is pretty graphic, it's pretty violent, it's definitely suspenseful, and it is definitely not what the cover necessarily makes it out to be. But I feel like that's exactly what you go into it like. You go into it like, oh, all these kids are going to this private school, yay! No. Every time you think you know what's happening, you do not. And every time you think you've solved some kind of mystery to the ridiculous mystery that is the plotline of this series, maybe you've solved a tiny bit of it, but in no way, shape, or form have you solved the whole thing, ever. I don't really know how to explain the artwork to you without just showing you, but I find that it's really like, I think it's hilarious because I find it to be kind of like almost, well, I was gonna say almost comic, but I meant kind of like quirky fun and even like bright, but I mean like the story is not anything like that at all, and every single issue actually starts with this white page with little Morning Glory flowers in the bottom. But I feel like the artwork contrasts in a wonderful way with the way that the story progresses, because it's these kids who are kind of figuring out who they are, who want to be these kind of like comic happy people, but they just aren't put in situations where they're allowed to do that. And also, it's also hard to explain, but there's also these like in between the really bright, comic-y, like, art, there's these really harsh black lines, and I can't fathom to you how much I think that it just works so well with the storyline. Like, I feel like if anyone else was drawing this, I don't think it would be what it is to me, and I love the story, don't get me wrong, I need to know what's happening to these kids, and I need to know now, but I don't think that I would be that invested if the artwork wasn't as wonderful as it is. So throughout the whole series, you're kind of trying to figure out like multiple mysteries, which I can't explain to you because it would ruin everything, and I won't do that to you because this is so good. But you're also kind of figuring out who all these kids are and what their past was and why they're there and what's happened to them and kind of what brought them to this point in time, etc., etc. So there's just a lot of mysteries going on and a lot of suspense and thrill going on throughout the whole series. And intermixed with that, there's also just regular teenage stuff, like having a crush, or like not wanting to talk to anyone, being full of angst. I don't know. Think of something that is stereotypical to teenagers, and I don't mean to be rude, but just general teenage stuff, You're figuring out who you are, and you're not sure what you want, or who you want, or etc., etc., which is totally normal. These kids go through that too. They just have to go through it while they're in a very essential hell. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I can really tell you about it without ruining it. This is very clearly a 5 out of 5 for me on the starred graphic novel scale. For some reason, I haven't met a lot of people who have read this, so if you have read it, always comment down below and let me know, and I would really highly recommend it. They're a little bit harder to find, I find at least. I actually have to find them in comic book stores. I can't go into a bookstore and find them, which I think is tragic. But I would highly, highly recommend it, especially if you're looking for something that's different that might keep your mind going like, what? And also just something with a really, really good story and a really, really good plot line, really good setting, really good character development, very, very good art, clearly. I went on about that for a long time. But yeah, like the character development is also just on point in this novel. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna stop blabbing on about this now. Comment down below if you have any questions for me, or if you have read it, comment down below. Do not spoil people though, please, because yes. And other than that, I will talk to you guys soon with another video. Happy reading! Bye!